Hi there, and welcome to Online Book Review. I'm your host, Stacey Cochran, and we are joined via Skype Video Call with an outstanding author today. RJ Keller is the author of Waiting for Spring. Thanks so much, RJ, for joining us.
Thank you.
Well, for our audience out there who haven't read your book yet, or who hasn't read your book, tell us a little bit about Waiting for Spring. What's the story about?
Well, the basic bare-bones summary, I guess you could say, is that it tells the story of a woman who tries to start her life over again after a very painful divorce. She moves to a new town, starts a new relationship, which, of course, is the plot to probably about 80 million other books. But the story is really about her lifelong struggle with self-worth, or in this case, lack of it. How her feelings of worthlessness just really cause her to act in very self-destructive ways. Whoop.
Hey, there's a cat.
Excuse my kitty. She wants to get in on the fun.
She wants to be a pet star there.
Exactly. She thinks she is. But no, she's just like I said, it just causes her to act in very self-destructive ways. It kind of starts with a parable that she's told when she's a young girl in catechism class, and that the sower and the seeds, that parable, and she really takes it to heart. It's about how she feels her heart isn't good soil or worthy of accepting good things or seeds, and she sort of carries that along into the rest of the book. And of course, the people around her realize that she really is a beautiful person, and she's got a great soul, but she kind of pushes them away and basically can't see that she's got the good stuff going on inside her.
What would you say is the root of Tessa's view of herself that way?
Definitely her relationship with her mother is, again, the biggest problem. Her mother didn't want kids, was sort of forced into having kids. It was her pregnancies occurred at a time when abortion was illegal, but she makes it very clear to Tess that had she been able to have an abortion, she would have. And she sort of grows up with that knowledge. So that sort of basic mother-daughter relationship is so very warped. And so she really carries that throughout her life.
Would you characterize Tess as a sympathetic character?
Absolutely. She's very screwed up, and she does very dumb things. But at her core, she's hurting. She's a hurting unit. She's in a lot of pain, and I think definitely the feedback I've gotten from readers and what I was trying to accomplish is that people just really, they want her to succeed. They want her, to see the good things about herself. They want to hug her and just, tell her, look, you're okay. It's going to be all right. And that's kind of the, response I've gotten from people. And she's also just really spends her time helping other people, to the best that she can, with her limited abilities and circumstances. So that really, I think, helps people root for her as well.
Well, for folks watching the video at home, the author is RJ Keller. The book is Waiting for Spring. We've been talking a little bit about the process that she wrote, the character of Tess Dyer in the book. You mentioned early on here, a couple of minutes ago, some of her flaws relate to her self-worth. What are you had written that you wanted to write a character who was strong and yet flawed. What are some of Tessa's flaws?
Well, she tries to escape from her problems. She tries to bury herself and numb herself, really, with pretty much anything she can get a hold of. She drinks too much. Sometimes she does drugs. She uses sex as an escape. That's her biggest thing. And she really spends most of the novel not able to articulate her feelings or her problems, even to those who are begging for her to do so. And her only real outlet for her feelings is her art. She's a painter. But she spends most of the book with, I guess you'd call it painter's block instead of writer's block. And so because of that, she doesn't have an outlet. And so she reverts again and again to these unhealthy ways of coping, or not coping, really.
What does she really want? What does Tess want in the book?
Well, again, going back to that parable, that feeling that she is worthy. She knows that that's what she wants. And instead of really doing that soul searching or that self searching, she goes looking for it other places. You know, men, alcohol. She's looking for something, and she knows that she wants that feeling, and she just doesn't quite grasp it, I guess.
She just sounds like a fantastic character. It must have been very kind of cathartic, maybe, to write that kind of character. Or how would?
Yeah, definitely. You know, because I had to go to some very dark places in order to write her, and I think I found myself almost wanting to protect her and not put her in the circumstances that I knew she sort of had to go through in order for the book to be honest and real. And so, but absolutely, it was definitely cathartic.
Now, you actually did find an agent for the book, but the agent wanted to rep it, but she wanted you to kind of change it into more of a rural sort of Bridget Jones diary. And your vision for the book is a little bit different. I think it's, you know, a harder, more realistic vision of a real life person. Can you talk a little bit about that experience working with the agent? Of course, a lot of our, you know, audience that's watching this video are aspiring writers. They want to get an agent, and so can you talk a little bit about that experience?
Sure. I had, you know, shopped it out to a variety of agents and got your typical rejections, and then I started getting some, you know, some real interest, and a lot of them would read it, say they liked it. You know, they'd even request the full manuscript, but they just didn't think they could market it, that it was too gritty. And then I finally heard back from an agent who did like it, but her idea to market it was to really water it down. And I sort of began the writing process because I couldn't find any books that I felt were real and that I really related to, because they were all those sort of, you know, chick lit Bridget Jones diary kind of books, and I sort of had my fill of it. So when the agent wanted me to turn my book into that, I couldn't do it. I just instant no. And unfortunately, she caught me on a bad day, and instead of finding nice, polite words to say no, thank you, I told her I would rather have red-hot ants eat at my brain than make the changes that she had suggested, which I think kind of sealed the deal, or rather didn't seal the deal. But I couldn't make those kind of changes to it.
Well, I think it's a great point, you know, and I think it's something that all writers can relate to in our audience, you know, the commercially successful ones and the folks starting out. And I don't think it's just restricted to just writing, too. I think filmmakers and even painters have that line that they have to walk between writing something or creating something that's, you know, very true to who they are and the vision that they want to tell. But then there is the side of the profession, at least in publishing, that you have to...
Right.
You have to write something that meets readers' expectations, and there's this commercial viability, and folks a lot of times aren't willing to take risks. So was the whole experience just kind of a painful experience for you, RJ?
I don't know that it was painful. It was definitely eye-opening, and it sort of helped me to realize just what I wanted out of my writing career, and sort of where my limits were. And that was a definite roadblock for me as far as I said when, and decided to go in a different direction. So it was, I think it was frustrating, but not necessarily painful.
How have you grown from the experience?
Oh, well, like I said, it just really sort of made me sort of more aware of what, you know, I want as a writer. And, I mean, all of the skills you need in order to go through the whole, you know, querying process, the synopsis and the query letter and all that, comes in handy for other things anyway. You know, writing the back cover for your book, being able to tell somebody what it's about, that sort of thing, you know, as briefly as possible. That was very useful. So I would definitely say I benefited in a practical way as well.
Awesome. Well, for folks watching the video at home, the author is RJ Keller. The book is Waiting for Spring. We've been talking about a little bit of the process of trying to find a publisher for it. What advice ultimately would you give to somebody who's watching, who has a book, and is deciding how to work with a literary agent, how to find a literary agent? What advice would you give them?
Well, definitely do your research. Whatever kind of work you do, whatever kind of writing, try to find an agent who represents that. Do your research as far as, because every agent is a little bit different in what they want. As far as even the query letters, some of them are more picky than others, and so many of them have blogs. It's actually not too difficult to to find that information out. Definitely, with the query letter, find out how to write a proper one, that sort of thing. But ultimately, just really be true to yourself, be true to your writing, and be true to your own voice. And every writer is different in what they want, but just not to compromise their own voice.
How did you find different agents to contact? What resources would you recommend?
The agent query website, definitely. If you just do a Google search, like I said, so many of them have blogs now, websites. You can find them on Twitter now, which is really helpful because they sort of tweet about their likes and dislikes very plainly.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, let's direct it back towards the book a little bit. How long did it take you to write Waiting for Spring?
A total of about a year and a half. The first draft took me about 6 months, and I thought, oh, yay, I wrote a book, I'm nice. And then I looked it over and realized that, again, I hadn't really dug deep enough and been honest enough, and I was really holding back. So I spent about another 6 months rewriting, going over it, and just really making sure it was as honest and real as I possibly could. And then I did, all the final edits. I actually had a lady who's an editor look it over just to make sure that it read like I thought it did, and, for the grammar cleanup and that sort of thing.
Was that the editor at Novella Festival Press?
Yes, Amy Rogers, who is awesome. And, yes.
Did you try to publish it with Novella Festival Press?
No, they're out of North Carolina, your neck of the woods.
Yeah, I've met a couple of them there was a writers' conference last fall, and I've met very briefly somebody from Novella. But it seems like a perfect publisher for your book is one of the reasons why I asked.
Well, if I lived in North Carolina, I might have had a chance. But they take Carolina authors, I think from North and South Carolina, but don't quote me on that. But I know it's definitely a local regional press.
We'll have to have you move down. Maybe if you move down here, we could get the book published.
That's right. Well, she'd love it if I moved down there, actually. But
and they do really good work. That press is very well respected. So
absolutely.
I wonder if she'd make an exception if a book came along like yours that was really spoke to her and she fell in love with it. If she would make an exception.
I don't know if it's run out of a library. I don't know if they'd like that all too much. It's definitely a regional thing, which is good for North Carolina authors, and definitely I suggest anyone who's down in that neck of the woods to definitely look them up and patronize their books. They have awesome work. What
kind of advice did she give you? What kind of feedback did she give you?
Definitely, I sometimes have a tendency to overwrite, and of course the book is a long one anyway. But she didn't want me to compromise my style of writing, but she really wanted me to take a look at condensing and just making things a little bit cleaner. Was her basic premise. I had an entire subplot which she suggested I remove, and I didn't like that idea at first. I was very attached because it meant losing a character, and so I put it aside for a while, and I realized that she was right. And so that was one of my biggest rewrites. And, it was a little painful, but it was definitely worth it, and the book is a lot stronger because of it.
Very cool. Well, for folks watching at home, again, the author is RJ Keller. The book is Waiting for Spring. It's available through Amazon Kindle, I know. What other places is it available, if any?
It's on the Kindle, also at Amazon, the trade paperback version.
Okay.
It's on Smashwords. Scribed. I don't know if it's pronounced scribed or scribed.
Yeah.
But whichever way, it's available there. Also, if you go to my blog, there's a link where you can download it there as well.
Well, I know the folks on Kindle boards will be very interested in watching the interview. They have probably seen your avatar there before. So let's talk a little bit about sort of your experience on Kindle. In contrast, I'm really interested in this Scribed or Scribd.com, the Simon & Schuster endeavor. Have you seen any sales from that? Does it compare at all to the sales that you've had with Amazon Kindle?
It's definitely different. On Scribe, it's one of those where it's sort of free. So I've seen a lot of downloads, but not a lot of sales. But that's on purpose on my part. The Kindle, I had it on sale for Kindle, and once I discovered the Kindle message boards and sort of got to know people, that's really when my sales took off.
Sure.
The people there have been so supportive, and they've just been so great. And I think what I really like about it is you get that immediate feedback. If someone doesn't like it, they let you know very plainly. And if they do, they let you know. And of course, they let their friends know, or they post about it on the board. And it's such a sort of organic way to spread the word. And it's all done. And I really enjoy being there, and I like the people there. So I don't even feel like it's not difficult for me to do it that way, and it's really helped.
It is an amazing community. I've been writing reviews at Amazon for maybe since 2001, and Amazon has made it a big point of their company to have this community aspect, and I think that we're seeing that a lot with the Amazon Kindle as well.
Definitely.
So what are your thoughts on the Amazon Kindle, would you say, overall?
I would say I'm jealous of people who have one because I can't quite afford it yet, although I am saving up for one. But as far as, from a writer's aspect, I think it's one of the best things really to come around definitely for writers. You put your book out and it's available instantly. For readers, if they're searching for a book or they come across it, they can download it instantly. And there's none of that waiting for it in the mail. As far as the actual Kindle device itself, I really can't say, but I've heard good things about it.
Very cool. Yeah, I've been just amazed at the response. There seems to be a lot of momentum and excitement and enthusiasm about the Kindle.
Yep.
It's been a lot of fun to watch. So what do you think the future holds for us as writers, let's say in the next 3 to 5 years?
I would definitely say electronic formatting in whatever format you use is definitely how it's going to be going. Not that paperback or Dead Tree books will ever really go out, and I like them myself, so I hope they don't. But as far as getting our work out there, definitely utilizing the internet. We have to make ourselves available on the social networking, on our blogs, participating in other people's blogs,
doing
Twitter.
Interviews.
We really have to doing interviews, and just really making ourselves available, because there really is a lot of noise out there, and we have to be out there and distinctive for people, and we have to give them a taste of what our narrative voice is like, even if we're not writing, if we're just on a blog, for example, or commenting. We really have to give them a taste for what we're all about.
I think you're absolutely right, and I think we've reached a point, technologically speaking, where we as writers, we can do interviews like this that would have just been inconceivable, 5-10 years ago.
Yeah.
You could really do a book tour from the comfort of your home, and now with the Amazon Kindle, I think we're seeing a community of readers who are really embracing the kind of self-starter mentality that I think is really needed.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, we're just about out of time here today. Again, I want to remind folks at home, the author is RJ Keller. The book is Waiting for Spring. So to sort of wrap things up for the aspiring writers and somewhat successful writers in the crowd, hold on just a second.
Okay.
What advice would you give to the aspiring writers in the crowd?
Definitely know exactly what you want. As far as with your writing, if some people are they just want to put something out there for the families to read, and there's nothing wrong with that. Some people, their goal is to be, bestsellers, and there's nothing wrong with that. Or some of us fall in between there. You have to know exactly what you want. When you know that, do the research as far as what the best way to get that is. Whether it's, putting yourself out there for agents, or if it's self-publishing, do your research to find out which ways to go about that's best for you, for your pocketbook, for your individual circumstances. And just really, educate yourself and be smart, and also develop a thick skin because you're going to need it.
Yeah. And for folks who want to find out more about you and your books and your blogs, where should they go to?
www.rj-keller.com is my website, and there's links there to my blog and to just about anything you'd want to know.
Well, thanks so much, RJ, for joining us here on a video Skype chat.
Thank you. It's been fun. Thanks.
And for all of us here at the Online Book Review, I want to thank you very much for tuning in. Thanks so much.